Hi, my name is Avery, your Little Miss HBCU Preteen 2025, and I am here with your 94th Miss Coppin State University, Catherine Trumata. Thank you for being
Thank
here. I
you. Thank you
really
for having
appreciate
me.
it. And I'm really excited to interview today and for you to be on our second episode of Queen Talk.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Mhm. Okay, so I'm just going to start by asking you, why did you choose an HBCU?
Hmm. It's a great question. I chose an HBCU solely because I am half Asian and I'm half Ghanaian. So I'm half Filipino, half Ghanaian, and I grew up towards my Filipino side. And with that being said, I did not know too much about my African American culture, let alone my African culture. So I really wanted to get an insight and an indulgement of my African American side. And really getting to be a part of an HBCU has taught me so much about how to personally take care of my hair, the importance of being a Black woman in society, and just the impact we can make and the history we continue to involve in.
Thank you. I love that answer. And just to add on to my question, I want to ask you, why did you choose Coppin State University?
Thank you. I chose the illustrious Coppin State University because Coppin was the first university to choose me. And I'm a very big advocate on if something is for you, then you must take it. If something is for you, then you must grasp it and be grateful with it. And when I was applying for universities, I graduated high school early and I was definitely in a mid panic of which university I would go to. And Coppin State was not only the first university to take me in or kind of basically gave me an acceptance letter, but also they were the first university to give me a full ride.
All right.
So Coppin State was my one and only answer. So I was able to get my
Able to
full
get
ride university. I go to school for free. I don't pay nothing, but also Coppin just pours so much into me. So that's why Coppin was like mainly my first choice.
love that answer. And why did you want to be Miss Coppin State University?
It's my favorite question. I wanted to be Miss Coppin State University because I have been through so much in my life that not much people would think, if that makes sense. And I feel like I hold a lot of wisdom and a lot of love in my heart to care for others and give back to others. But not only that, I feel like I want it being Miss Coppin State feels my purpose that God has given me on this earth with the amount of wisdom and trials and tribulations that I've carried upon my heart to bring to Coppin and kind of just be that unique, groundbreaking soul to bring all these nonprofits to give to university students and to bridge the gap between faculty and students. So it's really just not only for me to fulfill my purpose, but to make sure that I'm spreading the love and the awareness, but also the resources that are kind of not brought to light and kind of just bringing them more to the light and seeing how there's so much resources that students need and that they're able to obtain.
Wow, that was a beautiful answer.
Thank you.
You're very inspirational, and I love that.
Thank
What
you.
would you say to someone who would want to be the next Miss Coppin State University? What advice would you give them?
Mm. This is my favorite question too. I'm so excited for the next queen. I always say do it better. Do it better than me. Do it better than every single previous Miss Coppin state there is. We want to see involvement. We want to see innovation. We want to see growth. And I always say do it better than me. If I could give so much advice, I would just say be groundbreaking and also just be stubborn. I like to say be stubborn because if you hear the word no, the worst somebody can say is a no. And I always say, if you really have a dream, be hard headed, get forward to it, really put your foot down because there's many obstacles that will come your way, especially within the university. But when people see the passion and the voice that you have within you, no matter how big, small, tiny you are, it's going to get done.
Wow, that was great advice. And what
Mm-hmm.
advice would you give to someone who would want to be an HBCU queen, just in general? Then it doesn't matter what HBCU it is, who would want to be an HBCU queen.
A great piece of advice would be just do it. Just do it. Do not be your own critic. Do not be in your head and just allow life to flow. You're going to be in your head 99% of the time once you're campaigning, once you're in the thought of completing your application. But the main thing is to let go and let God and just keep going. Don't be stuck in your head. Don't be a sponge and grasp everything up in a negative manner. Only soak up all the positive stuff. And even if you do have negative thoughts, find a way to stay grounded to make sure that those negative thoughts don't overpower the positive thoughts and your purpose in this world.
Wow, that was an amazing advice, very inspirational. And what's your favorite part about being Miss Coppin State University?
Oh my goodness, my favorite part about being Miss Coppin State is the fact that at the end of the day, I'm still known as Catherine and not just Miss Coppin. And for me, being Catherine, I'm a funny, goofy little girl. I have vocal stems. I'm basically a big child. And so being Miss Coppin and still being Catherine, tying those two together, it's very groundbreaking because I get to break the stereotype of queens are stuck up, queens are always catty, queens are always this and that. And so getting the chance to really show that queens have personalities, that we're funny, we're bright, sometimes we're very much jokesters. I think that's just like my favorite part, just taking away all those stereotypes and that groundbreaking expectations and knowing that there's something bigger within our just looks and that we have such a beautiful personality, not only for me, but for every other queen as well.
Wow, that was a great answer. And what's
Thank
the
you.
most important part of pageantry to you?
The most important pageantry to me is really the community service, the purpose of why you are a queen, and that being a queen in pageantry is not just always looks, it's always about the heart and also just your brain, the intelligence that you have, and that you're unique. You are your own person, and that you should use your intelligence and your wisdom and all the trials and tribulations that you've been through and give back to the community as much as possible, no matter what niche it is just making sure that community service is evolving and getting better and better every day, and that each queen is getting into new communities, from underserved communities to the homeless to much more. So it's just so much more than just beauties and looks.
Wow, that was a great answer. And I really appreciate that. And I really agree too. What would you say to someone who's scared to do pageants and but really wants to do pageants but is scared?
Mm. First, I would definitely say journal, because everything that you are internally feeling is something that needs to be let out. And that can be verbally, it can be through a journal. Because once you let it out, I promise you, it's not going to go away, but it will dim down. So, first thing is you have to find some type of release to let out all that negative thoughts and energy, or maybe even people in your life. So, that's one thing, is just really just to release all the negativity out and start soaking yourself up with positivity. Even though you may be scared, you always have to think of the light at the end of the tunnel. Some things may be not the best when you're putting your first foot in or you're dipping your toes in the water, but once you fully submerge yourself in and look at the actual end goal, it's so much prettier. And I always say, especially in the church, when you look at the end and look at the blessings that is already fulfilled, it's so much worth it than looking back and being like, man, I regret not doing this. I regret not doing that. So you don't want to be full of regrets, but you want to be full of, at least I attempted, at least I tried.
Okay. That was a great answer. Yeah, that was great advice. And I'm sure someone who needed that really, they would appreciate that information. So my next question for you is, how did you discover pageantry?
How did I discover pageantry? Actually, it's actually a very funny story. When I was a freshman, I first came into my HBCU, and mind you, I remember just learning little to nothing about HBCUs. And my friends and I, who are still my great friends till this day, we saw a flyer for the 91st, who's Kayleen Perez. I love her so much. We saw her coronation flyer and we were like, what is a coronation? And everybody was dressed up in bow ties and suits, suited and booted. And it's my friends and I in sweats and pajamas. And we are just sitting in the back of the auditorium. And I just see Kayleen just walk across the stage in her beautiful attire as the known to be Miss Coppin. And over the duration of time, I started following her on the Miss Coppin State University page. I follow her personal page. And so I learned that she did pageantry herself. So it was kind of, Kaylee Perez was actually my biggest inspiration when it came to being Miss Coppin, but also pageantry in itself. Because knowing she did more than just Miss Coppin and she's been doing this throughout her lifetime, it became something I was like, I'm kind of interested in. And at first, I was kind of like, this seems a little sketchy, but like now, after really getting to know Kayleen and just kind of seeing her involved within pageantry, that was what really inspired me and learning how to walk in heels, kind of do my makeup, in a sense, how to dress. So it's just those little niche things that I never thought I would get to this position today.
Wow, I love that answer. And that is a funny story, but yeah, that was a great answer. After Miss Coppin, what's next for you?
Thank you for that question. Currently, as I'm in my senior year, my greatest accomplishment at this point into the next step is submerging myself into my graduate life, into getting my doctorates in physical therapy. But not only that, trying after getting my doctorates in physical therapy, being a travel physical therapist, I really, really want to serve in underserved communities in third world countries to make sure that they receive full mobility and range of motion within their bodies and making sure that they have no hindrance when it comes to physical therapy and receiving any type of medical care. So thank you for that question.
Thank you for that answer. That was a great answer. And
Thank you.
good
Thank
luck with your career in physical therapy. I'm sure you're going to be great.
you. Thank you. I said, thank you so much, Queen, for having me. I really appreciate it. And I will be reaching out to you soon for a partnership when it comes to either a community service or an event. I'm still no planning logistics.
Thank you. I will look forward to that.
Of course.
And that's all the questions I have for you. But thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for letting me interview you. And thank you for being on the second episode of Queen